We shift in our orbit around the sun. From our perspective, the backdrop to the sun now has moved on into gateway number 2. This is the second hexagram, the hexagram we call receptivity. And it's a signal shift. We've been going for the last 6 months through all of the hexagrams, all that part of the star fields around us where the associated hexagram or gate number has had a yang line at the bottom of it. So a yang line, outgoing, creative, initiating, getting stuff going. And now we're going into the whole arena of the yin. So all for the next 6 months, all the hexagrams have a broken yin line at the bottom. And the key thing to the yin line is it's receptive. And the second hexagram is the hexagram of receptivity. So here are the pages. And we can see, if we look in the bottom left-hand corner of the pages here, we see the potential channel, the 2 to the 14. And the 2 is the gateway we're looking at, gateway of receptivity. The 14 in the top of the sacral center. And here we are again, we're in the individual circuitry, right? So this is all about self-empowerment, self-growth. It's all about newness. It's all about difference. It's all about outside of the norms, in a sense. And so receptivity is that great remembrance to receive. Not just receive gifts and give things given by other people, but to receive input from the universe. What are we doing here? What is this life all about? Right? Do we really have it down? If we read lots of books and go to lots of seminars and stuff, are we going to really find out what life's all about? Or is the second gateway saying it's an inside job? So let's have a look at the wheel here. And we see the 2 in the bottom left-hand corner there. We are now squarely in the astrological sign of Taurus. And in the top corner there, top right-hand corner, we see gateway number 14, the gateway we call prosperity. And so the 2 and the 14 together make up this channel I call the alchemist. And the alchemist's basically someone who has an ability to change something very mediocre into something very high quality, high vibration. The alchemist can change base metal into gold. And so it's what we call a tantric channel. And it's all about shifting matter, changing things from one form to another. And we may very well see, in years to come, if we ever manage teleportation, that this second gateway is going to be very much part of it. We'll see, maybe. So the great difference here in the second gateway of receptivity is that it's allowing things to come to us. It's all the 6 lines that we look at, all the 6 chop marks that we look at, they're all receptive. The other thing is we're changing season here. And this is the season that links the human design shifts, the spokes of the wheel, the spokes of the centers in the self-center, all the 8 gateways in that self-center, the diamond center, often called the G center in the middle of the chart, the G center that connects us into perfect spiral geometry. So in the bottom left-hand corner here, we see that we've moved into now gateway number 2. And this is the pagan festival called Beltane, and a very celebrative festival in the Northern Hemisphere for sure. And it's another complete change. And it's what it's saying is now Beltane, from the hexagram point of view, now we're going to look for the next 8 hexagrams. We're going to look at the bottom 3 chop marks are going to be yin, broken, 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 right? And the gateway number 2 has all 6 of these lines broken. All these chop marks are broken, as we'll see here on the left side in the yellow diamond center there. 6 broken yin receptive chop marks. So this is the most receptive of all possible things. It's a complete change. It's allowing us to receive. And it's the gateway of guidance, as natural guidance. Well, where does this guidance come from? does it really matter as long as we are receptive to it? As long as we get this sense inside ourselves that we are receiving this guidance in this extraordinary mystery called life. And yes, it is a mystery. Nobody knows where we're going. Nobody knows what's going to happen. We just presume, things were going such and such in the past. We can only guess where things are going to go in the future. So receptivity kind of tunes us in to say, you can get with it right now. You can be right in it. And it says a natural connection exists to unseen and sometimes inexplicable inner guidance. Inexplicable inner guidance. It's a natural connection. And so when the sun is passing through this second gateway, all of us can really just see, are we open to the little signals we're getting? Do we get to appreciate these things? Because the thing of it is, this is the doorway to knowing, inner knowing, personal knowing, right? Regardless of all the libraries and Googles and everything that's full of all this information, right? Or everybody else's accumulated information, the collective understanding about life, all the scientific stuff, all the religious stuff. And in the middle is us, who are we and what's our whole story here? And so the second gateway is really key in this regard to reminding us the truth resides inside. And it resides inside because we have this ability to receive guidance. And so let's have a look at the commentary here. Receptivity provides the means to finding a way through life that is in accord with and guided by the higher self. If we forget that there is a higher self, that there is a higher possibility, that our spirit comes in here from a very different dimension, from a different space. It comes into the earth plane to have this life experience in 3D. Not necessarily the easiest thing. To come out of spirit form where anything is possible, to come into 3D where we literally are limited by the vibrations of the matter, the material around us. And some of us are very well acquainted with the matter. We manage to do very well financially. Other people not so well, don't manage it so very well. Some people get totally caught up in the matter and their whole life is absolutely hung on a bunch of labels around who they are, what they get, and how they are in life. So receptivity provides the means to finding a way through life that is in accord with and guided by the higher self. We all have the access to a higher self. And it's just that attunement when we know we're on the page with something or not. That inner knowing, it's that phrase, when you know, you know. And the second gate really plugs us into that possibility. And it's an inner knowing. It's a personal inner story. Anyway, being receptive establishes the distinct difference between knowledge and knowing. Distinct difference, right? The knowledge is everything we've ever been told about life. The knowing is our personal inner story and our natural connection to the universe around us. And so the second gateway, when the sun goes in the second gateway, we're getting bombarded with neutrinos that are really accessing this part of our nature and just say, do you remember? Do you remember to count on yourself first? Are you so caught up in everybody else's appreciations or understandings about life? Or are you able to tune into and find your own perfect truth? So let's have a look through the lines. And of course, there are always 6 lines in every hexagram. And here we're talking about the potentials of being able to receive this higher knowledge, this connection to our higher self. The first line is called crystal vision. You perhaps remember or know those times in your life where all of a sudden it's almost like your eyes have been opened wider, that your senses are opened wider, that all of a sudden you have this extraordinary connection into nature or into the reality of what it is that's playing out around you. Everything is part of your awareness. And I call this line crystal vision. It's just, you're in it. You see it all, you feel it all, you hear it all. You're absolutely alive in this presence. And what it says is receptive to guidance that accords to the beauty of existence. How often do we get to stop and really appreciate what an extraordinary experience we're having here? Who made this planet, and where did it all come from? How did it all happen? How did we get these outfits we're wearing? How do we get these senses to be able to tune into here? And those precious moments when we feel absolutely in accord with existence. And that's what the second gate with the first line is all about. Your inner knowing comes through appreciation of the beauty and fragility of life. Life is a very precious thing. The carbon-based life form is very, very sensitive, very fragile. And yet somehow the conditions here are absolutely perfect for it. So amongst everything else, the second gateway is reminding us, go out in nature. Go and sit with a tree. Go and sit in a garden somewhere. Go and talk to the animals. Be around nature. Be in that place. Reevaluate this sense, this remembrance of the beauty of this planet that somehow we find ourselves having this experience in. So you align yourself with high ideals through your sensibility to life. Right? You move more and more and more into this reality, this 3D reality. We become more and more receptive to what it is that life wants to offer us. And the other side of this, you try to force predetermined outcomes despite your inborn wisdom. Yeah, when we're in this magical space, this presence, very easy to want to force the pace a little bit. I want to have this more and more and more in my life. And it's just that thing. Life is a very fragile thing. And this requires a great deal of sensitivity, a great deal of expanding on our perception. The second lines always have this natural quality of being able to move into things, move through things in a very natural way. It's just like easy. And the line is called gifted. Natural access to an intelligence that often defies logical explanation. How do I know this? Where did this come from? How do I know to say that? If I say this, is it going to have any meaning to anybody else? If I live this, does it expand on my life experience here? And that's what this second gate's all about. It has this ability, this genius to just open up other arenas of life that, where did that come from? How did you know to have this? And there it is. You access to an inner sense of knowing beyond the scope of any accumulated knowledge. It's bordering on magic in a way, in that, how did you know this? I don't know, I just know it. Can't tell where it came from. All of a sudden I had this realization, this knowing. And so the second gateway, this open into receptivity, is really an extraordinary possibility to absorb things that cannot necessarily be explained. Your natural gift for knowing must sooner or later be acknowledged. You've got the second gate with the second line. Sooner or later, people are going to realize there's something about you, that you have a way of relaying things that there's no knowledge base where it came from. It's just all of a sudden there it is. The other side of it, with an ability to excel, you tend to seek power through your knowledge. There's always that possibility in life. You have access to this perception, this deep perception of things. And there's always that possibility of taking advantage of it. And we have to see, all right, maybe that's how it is. We're all seeking to expand, we're all seeking to grow, but we all have to be really, really particular what we know to be right in ourselves and what we know is not appropriate for us. We get to the third line. The line is called patient knowing, acknowledging that life never ceases giving lessons. All third lines have this tendency to rush into things, to jump into things without any appreciation of what the consequences might be. They're natural pioneers, natural experimenters, first one in. And here we'll just see a lot of times the third line is going to get its fingers burned. It's going to get bruised and bumped. And for all third lines, wherever you have a third line, forgive yourself and just see, okay, I learn things very quickly by seeing how they don't work out so very well. But then there's always that possibility of rearranging my approach to things another time. And here the line is just saying life never ceases giving lessons. Aligning with your own particular way. Again, we're talking about second gateway. We're talking about individual circuitry, right? This is receptivity. Maybe nobody else is getting the same thing. You're the one that's getting this receptive input. And it's saying aligning with your own particular way brings special rewards in your own perfect timing. So it's saying patient knowing, but it's just to say sooner or later, everything will become clear. What can be very foggy, you don't quite know why something looks so important for you in the moment, and then all of a sudden it becomes available and you recognize what it is. By being receptive, you learn to adapt to every conceivable experience that life offers you. Keyword for third lines, adaptation. And here it is, realizing that what looks like a complete disaster at one moment, sooner or later might turn around to be, oh my goodness, what I learned from that was priceless. Takes me into a whole different understanding and appreciation about my life. And it just says, being open, by being receptive, you learn to adapt, right? There it is. Inner knowing, inner learning. The other side of it, your inspiration and powerful sense of knowing is impulsive and often demands expression. And there it is. When you go outside of your type and authority, you can see there's a huge push to jump into things, to dive into things without recognizing what the consequences might be. And I'm not saying good or bad, but I'm saying this particular third line is all about patient knowing. Sooner or later, everything becomes revealed, everything becomes really clear. And it comes clear in an inner knowing. It may not necessarily make sense, but all of a sudden you see the bigger picture. You see it all. The fourth line is called concealing, knowing much but revealing only the essential. As I say, when you know, and it's, am I able to tell anybody else about this? I've got this download. I got this inside sense of something. Is there a way I can convey it to other people without them feeling off balance in their life in some way? There is universal and learnable knowledge, but some things are impossible to transfer clearly. It's just that thing, the inner knowing. It's a very, very personal thing. And the fourth line is very often looking to see, hey, anyone else get this? Anyone else want to hear my story? What it is I just downloaded here? And it's just saying some things can be conveyed, not everything. And so there's a caution around this to conceal. Some things are between you and the universe. That's it. It's very, very personal. Sometimes in the highest interests of harmony, your knowledge does not need to be expressed. There it is. It's an inner thing. It's an inner secret. And that's part of the fourth line process. And here, the other side of it, a tendency you have to be unable to keep silent, brings the likelihood of you causing upset. You say things that are not really to be conveyed. They're never going to be making sense to people that you say them to. And the fallout from that can be expansive. And so the fourth line sometimes just has to be very, very calm about what it is, this new download, this new receptive nature is. What things are coming through, do they need to be conveyed or not? Is it appropriate? And again, you go to type and authority. But the excitement sometimes of just all of a sudden being in the zone, all of a sudden getting that clarity. Oh my goodness, I've just had secrets of life revealed to me. And the wish to want to convey it to other people. The fifth line is called strategy, biding your time until action is merited. You interconnect to every asset life offers. That's the nature of the second gate. It can tune into anything here. Whether others can or need to be included or not. And the fifth line is in the role of the guide or the leader or the overseer or the one that has the vision or the potential outcomes has to wait, has to bide in time until action is merited. Receptivity is almost like attuning to everything going on at once. No limits, colors, sounds, frequencies, everything that's going on around us. It's just that sudden knowing. Oh my goodness, I'm absolutely tuned into the music of the universe. And here the fifth line is saying, when ready to direct, you communicate clearly and use all available resources wisely. There it is. Can you hang on? Can you wait for a minute? Fifth lines are very often in that where, oh, let me get involved. Let me rescue you. Let me sort you out. I can see what it is everybody needs. And it says, bide your time here. When ready, you'll be able to communicate clearly what it is people need to hear. This gateway can be extraordinarily empowering. A few words that are expressed in a clear way through this gateway number 2 can completely transform somebody's life. And people with the second gate, they'll have this experience. They'll be having a little chit chat with somebody about something or other, and just this information, this knowing comes through, and it somehow finds a language or a frequency that it comes across and is expressed. And you may not see the person you're talking with for several years, but they'll come back after several years and they'll say, remember that time we were talking and you told me this and you said this? Totally changed my life. How did you know to tell me that? Oh, really? I'm very happy for you. Wow. Yeah, I kind of remember us having tea together. I can't remember exactly what we were discussing, but I'm so happy for you. Fantastic. And there it is. There's that magic of receptivity, that knowing that has found a means to be communicated, to conveyed, to be transmitted. Language is a very interesting thing. I mean, how on earth do we understand all these sounds and noises that we make, and the cadence of the voice and the shifting of the tone and different levels of our body through which these sounds come? But the second gateway can convey things that absolutely rearrange people's lifestyles, takes them out of something that's not working to them and brings them back into a frequency that really does work for them. The other side of the fifth line here, a self-centered process, leaves you overlooking others and their potential contributions. And it can just, be so self-involved, so tuned into having this inner guidance, this receptivity, that it's quite possible to dismiss other people. I don't want to engage there at all. And then the sixth line, the line is called being preoccupied. Tunnel vision limits your capacity to expand fully. You know what it is, you get the drift of something, you get the sense of something, and it's just like, I'm just putting on blinders. I'm not going to be distracted by anything else. This is what I'm going for. And the sixth line here can have that potential. It gets tuned into something or other and disregards everything else going on. And so here it says, very important, detaching from suspicions, fears, and doubts is essential to receive clear inner guidance. Where do the suspicions, fears, and doubts come from? They come from the society around us, from the rule systems around us, the belief systems. Oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. The kind of obligations that society heaps upon us one way or another. The influencers, the politicians, the priests, all these influences that are coming in all kinds of different shapes and forms. And so the sixth line has the potential to be totally open. Top of the hexagram, like open to see everything, but it says there can be this tunnel vision. I don't want to include any of these distractions. I don't want to be thrown off my path. And so it says detach from these suspicions, fears, and doubts. And that way you'll receive this clear inner guidance. Your mind never knows for sure. Thus, it is essential to trust and relax into your own authority. There's this potential to want to not be distracted, to, put so much energy into excluding other things, and therefore not being open to the whole possibility of what is being offered, of what that inner knowing is reminding you of and what it is showing you. And so again, always for all of us in these times and going forward, type and authority. That's it. If you understand nothing else about your human design, find out your type and authority, how you move energy within you, how energy moves within you. and what it is that guides you to making clear decisions in life through everything. The other side of it is security. And I say security can become an excuse or a reason for everything, even to betray your own ideals. It's a tricky one, this. We're going on along in our life, we have these proposals, we're receptive, we're open to doing things, and all of a sudden this little security thing comes up. Oh, you can't have access to your bank account because, it's for your own security, right? There are so many things that are put in our way like that. Oh, it's just not safe. And certain countries turn into nanny states. We're not allowed to do anything. You're not allowed to think for yourself. You have to go along with the rules. You have to go along with the preconditions. And we all have to be really, really careful about that. That knowledge is caught up in the preconditions, is caught up in the rules and regulations and the belief systems. The knowing is our personal connection to life. It is our personal connection to inner guidance. The universe wants us to succeed. Life wants us to grow. And here we are in this possibility with the sun going through this second gateway, and it's just reminding us, be still inside, find that inner knowing.